So yesterday we stopped at industry life cycle. If you remember, we were discussing that how this life cycle is for the products, the industry, and even to the business as well. For example, if we see Cewmlator business, we are into the maturity stage. But if we see in electric vehicles, it's mostly we are into growth. So we have a lot of more opportunities to do or work in the batteries. Some charts, if you see, they have divided this into five. So they have introduction, growth, then they have another section, then maturity, then decline. But either way is fine. So in the case study exam, they won't ask you specific to explain what it is. This is for our understanding. For example, if you're at maturity, usually the cash flow is positive. The company has enough money or company is getting good profits. But if you say introduction, the company have to invest. They are not getting anything out of the sales, or it's just a new thing we are launching. Same thing with the decline. Yeah. After that, we can discuss computer analysis. So why computer analysis is important? In fact, in strategy, where does the computer analysis fit? Technically, computer analysis will help us to know the market. If you remember, we discussed in previous chapter in and P3 also market-led approach or market-led strategy. So what it is? Market-led strategy is when you're analyzing the competitor. Sometime you might be industry leader, one of the industry leader, what we are doing now. So if you're a leader or you're in top two, top three, things become even difficult. You don't have much to do with the computer analysis. Or we don't have just one company to look at it. So we need to look at multiple companies, or we need to benchmark in a different way, or sometime outside the industry to keep growing or irrelevant, or continuously having our new core competencies coming up in the market. So this analysis can be defined as a set of activities which examines the comparative position of competing enterprises within a given strategic sector. It seeks to provide an understanding of the company's competitive position, advantage, given information based of developing future strategies. For example, in Cewmlator, we have discussed we might have one disadvantage compared to BYD and Tesla is we don't have our own mining. From the pre-scene, they have not mentioned. They have said about producing batteries, but our competitors, they have already taken over the mining as well. So they have more control on the supply chain. That gives them the edge. Types of competitor, if we are looking at, so we have brand competitors. For example, now Atom is there and Cewmlator is there. Everything is same, just the name is different. Then we have industry competitor. One may be a differentiated product, other may be a cost leader product. Doesn't matter, but both are satisfying the same needs. So we have a lot of new startups coming up. There are industry competitors for us. Then form competitors sell products that satisfy the same need as ours through technically very different. Example, speedboat and sports car. So form competitors can be for us maybe something which is working in sustainability or alternative source of energy, like ethanol blending is happening, and other things to make it more sustainable. So that is another type of form competitors. Then generic competitors compete for the same income. Example, home improvements and golf. So generic competitors will be who? Other ICE engines, isn't it? Who are already doing the traditional way of manufacturing. So what we need to do is we need to find some competitors which are leading and keep checking what is happening in the industry. That's what we have done in the industry now. But still, you can keep an eye what is happening at least in the news. I hope all of you are doing. And if you find something very important, just make sure that you read it completely. Then you can also put that as a part of your analysis, because that can be used as an example in the actual exam. Okay. Any question? This is mostly simple. It's just part of syllabus. They won't specifically ask this for understanding. Then, once we analyze the competitors, what we are looking at their objectives. For example, we have some public info like their mission, vision, values, their profits. Usually big and listed companies. Strategy is difficult, but we can have a sense if you look at the pattern. We can make some assumptions for the future. We can look at the resources and competencies. What are the key strength and weakness? Key strengths sometimes can be they have a parental support. They are part of big conglomerate. Weakness can be they are new to this business, new to this industry. So based on that, we can do some kind of prediction. Because no point if you are coming up with a very good strategy and we know that somebody will copy us, or somebody means any competitor will work in the same way. So we'll lose that edge. So we need to make sure that we have that competitive edge, at least theoretically when you're planning. So we need to look at the predictions. What will be the response or a reaction from other players in the market? So what does they usually do? There are different types again. First type is laid back, does not respond. They won't respond to what we do. Other one is selective. They react to attack in only selecting markets. Then we have tiger, always responds aggressively. Whatever we do, they will also respond. If we give discount, they might also give discount. If you go to new market, they'll also come. If you launch a new product, there is possibility they'll also do it. Then we have stochastic, no predictions pattern exists. So usually we can categorize a competition into four of these. Now entering foreign markets, pressure from shareholders to increase return capital employed, saturate domestic market, opportunities, trade barriers coming down. Then we have different risks. So looking at our current business model, we are already, into international markets. Do you think we should grow more into foreign markets or come up with the new product? Or to make it simple, at this position, Cewmlator, what do you think? We should do more product development or market development? What is a better position for us or better strategy for us?
Uh, I would say we are already globally available. We have more than 4,500 third-party dealerships where they are selling our cars. So I guess if we focus toward more product development, which would be the very good competitive and very competitive idea, like, because if we develop our product, we will be way more ahead from our competitor, and the customer would be more attractive to our products and cars, that the features that we will providing, our competitor won't be having, or if they have, it will be very minimal, or where we will have, like, they have very vast differentiation, so our product will stand out of the crowd. So I feel product development is a better way of doing it because we are already globally available.
Right, right.
And just to add to what Divesh just said, it's also less risky as well and less costly because you're all you're doing is product development. You're not entering a new market, so the culture might be different. So it's less risky than going into market development.
Do you have any specific products that we can launch?
I don't know if they mentioned about the other alternatives of what we spoke about, like buses, trucks, vans. Those are product developments.
Okay, sorry, can you repeat?
What I was saying is when we discussed last time around like buses, trucks, vans, those
Right,
are those
right.
the product developments.
Same thing.
I was thinking about aftermarket, like aftermarket things, like if we are selling also base trims as well. And sometimes, some customers and some people like to buy a base model, and then they modify the cars according to their preferences. So if we sell also after sale products like music system or other leather seats or something, it will be, I guess, maybe the other side of diversification where we are also selling parts and all. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, like BYD. So they are not just selling cars. So they are selling a lot of products and other things to other manufacturers. So they do a lot of B2B as well. So definitely product development looks a better option than the market development because it looks like we are already uh, present in most of the market. Okay. Then looking at the risk of entering foreign markets, we have risk of different cultures, varying cost structures. This is very similar where we have discussed about the other risk, exchange volatility, different economic situations, political involvement, entry requirements, and anything. Then benefits of entering global markets, economies of scale, increased management opportunity. I believe most of that we are already doing. Then we can also look at Porter's diamond. Porter's diamond actually give us an understanding about the advantage of nations. So to apply this to our case, we don't have much information, and even they won't specifically ask this. Again, this is for understanding. So we need to see if our competitor has certain advantage or we have certain advantage. Based on that, our strategy can be tailored. For example, we have demand conditions, related support industry, factor, rivalry. Rivalry, it looks like a challenge, but if you see, rivalry gives a lot of advantage as well. For example, if you see German cars in ICE engines, they are really good because they have good rivalry. Or if you see electronics in Japan, right, and Chinese products also, if you see, they are very efficient in their manufacturing because they have good rivalry. At the same time, the other things also matter. For example, if you're looking at the factor conditions, what is factor condition? It's about natural capital. Naturally, there are certain things. For example, in China, we have a lot of resources, rare earth materials, so that can benefit. Then later in support industry can be logistic business, can be finance provider and all of that. Then demand condition, if we have local demand, the industries will definitely grow, especially if the demand is sophisticated. Then if they satisfy local customer, that means they can satisfy global customer as well. Structure and rivalry, how is the competition between different companies? Is it a monopoly or there are so much of competition? Really, government will promote this rivalry via policies because they want ultimately the customer to win. Then apart from that, there are certain stakeholders that can influence this. Ultimately, the government has the power. Sometimes special events can also affect. For example, there is a war, civil unrest, any other things happen, which is very rarely, or any economic situation also we can say. Then also Porter's diamond will get affected. For example, in our case, if we see we have good demand, then we have rivalry, we have atom, right? Two things we can say. In support industry also, maybe to a good extent. Moving on to the next. I hope you guys have read this or also gone through the recording. So therefore, we are, not going it very slow. But if you have anything, you can just stop me. Number 5 is strategic networks and platform. So this is about supply chain. This is important in our case. This is what we have to, we have seen in the industry analysis also. So what is supply chain? So technically, supply chain is from the start to the end consumer. For example, if it is, let's say, with the chocolate, let's say we are making, or any company is making chocolate. So you start with the farmers when they're growing cocoa, then ultimately when the consumer is buying from the retail. So that is the entire supply chain. So previously, competition and other things are more important for the business, or as a business we are thinking about our supplier and our buyer, that's it. But now things have become more complex, and to be relevant and competitive in the market we have to know the entire supply chain, because any disruption anywhere will affect all the stakeholders in the supply chain. In fact, nowadays companies want to control the supply chain. That can also give them a competitive edge. This can also create a barrier to entry, or it can help them to create better margins ultimately, maintain better market share. So a good supply chain encompasses all activities and information flows necessary for the transformation of goods of the origin of the raw material and when the product is finally consumed or discarded. This typically involves distribution of the product from supplier to the manufacturer to the retailer and then on the final consumer. Transition between the business and suppliers are referred to as upstream. If you're buying from some between business and customer, our customer, maybe that is another business, doesn't matter. That is a downstream supply. Can you think of what is the supply chain for our business? What is our supply chain?
Upstream?
No, total, I mean, start to end.
Oh, okay. So I think first supply chain starts from our factories in other countries. So we get our the body, batteries, and everything assembled, and from there to us, and then from maybe not to us directly, but directly to the dealerships, I think, or if we have a warehouse first, and then we supply from our warehouse, like a central warehouse or a regional warehouse, to the dealerships in different cities and all that. That would be, kind of supply chain. But I think the main would be upstream kind of supply chain, because from our business, it's going to our suppliers who are then going for customers.
Right. But there are some steps we can add more
Yeah.
in that.
I think what about the metal supplier? So the people that are getting the metal, so you get the metal to create the mold. So the metal goes to our factory to create the mold of the chassis. And then following, and the same thing for the lithium as well, the lithium to make our batteries. The raw materials will be a key part of our supply chain.
Right. So technically start with the mining, because we have to look at the battery. Battery is the primary component for our vehicles, right? So mining, then it goes to refinery. Then we are producing battery cells, then the battery pack, then the finished product, that is for the battery. Then for a car, it will have its own traditional supply chain. We have a number of suppliers, vendors. Then once this is done, it will go to dealership, and from dealership, it will go to the customer. So we have to think about mining, we have to think about refinery, we have to think about battery cell, battery pack. Then other components also offer other component supplier. And for us, if we are manufacturing battery in-house, so upstream will be mining, refinery, and I believe other suppliers. And if we look at downstream, it will be mostly dealership, then the end consumer.
Just to check, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, sure.
Thank you.
Is there anything we miss in the supply chain? So we need to know it properly. Then only we can come up with the strategy. We can come up with the risk. We can come up with our stakeholders. Then push and pull model. Push model is when we are making in bulk, we are giving discount, we are giving a lot of promotions for the people to buy, or we have the finished product ready and then they're buying. And pull, usually in car industry, pull is working now. Pull is like we have to give order first. Companies don't want to invest a lot in their working capital, or they don't want to have the idle car ready. They want the customer to book, and they will make sure that is available in few weeks time, so that way their capital is not stuck. But if you see with electric vehicles, what is happening, companies, in order to save cost, they are working at a very big scale. They are making or manufacturing at a big scale to generate economies of scale. So that can again create a model of push, because if you do in small quantities, you will not achieve the economies of scale, so the cost will go up. So we are technically in mid of push and pull, we can say. So here they have mentioned, although customers are the source of profit, they are at the end of the chain in the push model, driven by e-commerce capabilities to empower clients. Many companies are moving from the traditional push business model, where manufacturers, suppliers, distributors, and marketers have most of the power, to a customer-driven pull model. So new business model. New business model means pull model is less product centric and more directly focused on individual consumer.
Ms. Bhai, is it like, to summarize, may I know like what is push and what is pulled here in supply chain?
Technically, push model is, this is mostly for our business.
Hmm.
Push model is when we are making products in bulk, like in clothing industry, if you see, it's mostly working on push model. The products,
Okay, manufacturing more, I mean, like more than demand and keeping it and then push it to the market.
yes, yes. So even
Okay.
if there is no demand, we'll keep it and we'll generate demand in the market through marketing, through discounts, through
Okay.
influencer.
Okay.
Because in that industry, if you produce at a large scale, it is beneficial. But the downside can be, we have a good investment of working capital. We have to keep inventory all the time, or heavy inventory.
Hmm.
So that is push. In pull, on the other hand, when the demand is there, then only the products will come. So we have a very minimum inventory. We have a faster.
Like example, like if we are booking for one car, they say that 6 months waiting period, like that. Like that,
Yes.
is it?
So in car industry, it's mostly pull. That's what I was saying. In ICE engine, we are using mostly pull. It has started with Toyota, and now most of the car companies are following.
Hmm.
Normally it is pull, but when it's coming to electric vehicles, we can save the cost when we do it in the bulk. But if we do in the bulk, then we don't have the pull option. We might have to shift to push as well, or a mix of push and pull, or in between we have to manage.
Hmm.
Because we have discussed in industry also that, like BYD, they are planning to manufacture one car every 30 seconds, or two cars in 1 minute. So they already have lot of inventory available. They have unsold car, and that is one of the risks for BYD. But still, they are manufacturing at a very fast pace, at a very big scale, and obviously it is an example of push.
Okay. But my doubt is like in this supply chain, in this scenario, in push supply chain from the vendors also, we will take more inventory, is it? Other
Yeah.
than demand.
Yes. So this push and pull can work at every level of supply chain. For example, if we are B2B, business to business also, then also we have push and pull system. Either we can wait for other business to generate a demand,
Mhm.
or we have the products ready, then we can push for them.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
marketing is very important. A key aspect of managing downstream supply chain is to ensure effective marketing. This will help attract customers and improve the image of organization. So there has been, almost no discussion in the pre-scene what kind of marketing we can use or we are using. What do you guys think? Have you thought of this? Here they have talked about, normal marketing, general relationship marketing. What do you think will be a better idea for us to grow our business? What kind of marketing will help? Is it like influencer marketing or brand endorsement? Usually, what types of marketing happens in the car industry with the car manufacturers? They have celebrities, then they talk about safety. What else?
The technology, speed.
Technology, speed, the features, or maybe mix of all three. Also, in some marketing, we can do. I mean, a lot of other companies are doing like easy to finance, bank loan available. Because usually people will not buy this in cash. They need an EMI option, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I've seen some adverts where it says you can grab this for like $299 per month or whatever. Obviously, they don't mention how much deposit or anything like that. They just show a low figure a month that people think, yeah, is affordable.
Right. Just pay this much and you can drive home.
Exactly.
So, like this catchy advertisement they do, and a lot of people actually go for it. Buy now, pay later kind of thing. Ideally, what we have to do? We can use CSR as a market. Because marketing anyways we have to do, but CSR is not mandatory. So why not come up with some strategy where CSR we are doing for the society, at the same time we are getting marketing as well. And this can be useful in Duxline and other areas as well. Overall, in the industries, or we can say across industries, things have moved from traditional marketing to relationship marketing. Now, wherever we go, they're asking our details, numbers, email, and everything. Constant email. They'll send. They will wish on birthdays, New Year, and all of this to create the relationship. We have a lot of CRM tools available, software. CRM consists of the process a company uses to track and organize contract with current and prospective customer. The particular emphasis on software-based approaches. Customer focus approach and all. Customer satisfaction retention is another thing. Remember, we are trying to acquire new customers, but at the same time, there will be certain customers which can be leaving us. So we need to make sure that we are not leaving more customers. I mean, it's almost impossible that 100% will stay with us, especially in this people not buying car frequently. But the acquisition rate should be higher than the the churn rate, the number of customers we are losing. We have some cervical approach, tangibles. The tangibles heading considers the appearance of physical facilities, equipment, personnel, and communication. What we are giving to them, let's say website, social media presence, and others. Reliability. Reliability is the ability to provide promised service dependently and accurately, and is usually the most important of the different aspects being discussed here. So we need to be a reliable one. After sales service, we said like 80% battery, right? If it goes down less than 80%, we'll replace it. However, that should not happen. It should be a rare case. Imagine like most of the cars are happening. Even we are replacing, that trust factor will go down. Plus, what is our after sales service. So that's what happened with the scooter company in India, Ola. They do electric scooters, but they don't have proper after sales service. In fact, they were also overwhelmed with this, and they have not outsourced it. They were trying to do in house. Again, financially, they don't have that much of capital to invest, coming up with so much of service centers. We have another successful example of Maruti Suzuki in India. They are traditionally doing ICE cars, but they are successful because they have good after sales service. They're economic as per the market, and they have very good after sales service. So just after sales service or reliability will make a major difference. This is
So
where,
another point I would like to add, Ms. Vai, sorry to
yeah, Ravi.
cut your flow. Generally, we see that auto industry, it is very common to recall the vehicles. We saw last week BYD called 150,000 cars back to their showroom and to fix a malfunction in their maybe I think battery pack or somewhere in the induction engine.
Right.
So it is a very common practice to recall the vehicle that builds the trust in the customer. I mean, although it is a negative for the company, additional cost, but it brings somehow the confidence in the customer to use the cars because they are able to do it free of cost and give it back to them.
Yes. And it also
Would you
shows,
consider this as a part of the after sales service? Would you call it as a
yeah, I think
part of
that's
the
part of
after sales?
reliability, yes. Because
Yes.
people
yes.
will understand sometimes some issues can happen, but we need to be, proactive and responsive enough
Mhm.
to recall
Yeah.
it and, take care of all the expenses and make sure that everything is improved.
Yeah.
Recalling on the short term might look like a reputational risk, which is,
Hmm.
but in the long run, people will, appreciate the company because they are taking their responsibility.
Okay.
In fact, this can be a scenario for us because this happened recently with BYD. What if we have to recall our products,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah. So we have to create some repository of these industry examples, right? With all the references, numbers, facts, and we can quote them part of the when we're writing the exam.
Yes, at least if you do one, that will make sense.
Yeah. Okay.
When you guys are making the risk list, please mention this product recall also. This is one of the industry risks and how we can manage that. Or we can just discuss now. Let's say now we have got our new model and it has got technical issues. Let's say some people have already received it and other people are on the queue or they're about to receive it. We just found out there was some issue with maybe the hardware and software. So they can ask you two scenarios here. One is whether we should recall it. Sometime the flaw can be very small. It's a small issue. So the first question can be whether to recall or not, because it will have a very big cost. The second is if we recall, how we'll manage the reputations.
Yeah.
This can be the entire vendors. What should be our response? Let's say if this come for Cewmlator, what will be our response? Let me repeat for all of you. First is the car is already out and we have some issue in that. So we are considering whether we should recall it or not, because it will be very expensive, practice. And second thing, if you recall, it will create a lot of reputational risk. Now, how you can manage that risk?
What I feel, Ms. Vai, in this case is I look at the different stakeholders here. One, customers giving a negative feedback in the social media. Suppose they say the products are not good, they have these problems. Over a period, your sales will start reducing, hence impacting your revenue. And while if we take a responsibility and act immediately, although for a week, a month, or a couple of months, your share price may get impacted because investors or a market may respond with a say reduction, maybe a small correction. But over a period, you will recover, stock will recover. At the same time, the customer confidence will improve and sales will be protected over the long term. I don't have a right example for this, how much share price has dropped, how much sales have improved or dropped. So probably, little more research to be done and take a practical example.
Right.
I have one point just want to
Yes,
add on.
sure.
So if there is an issue persisting, means we need to think, the issues going to create damage in the luxury part or in the safety part. So depends on that, we have to take a call. If it is going to compromise on the safety part, we have to call for all the vehicles because we cannot compromise, because our mission and vision, if you look at that, they're providing a better place. It's just like in a world, a better place to make a desirable, sustainable motor vehicles, not to fault you. So in that aspect, I would say that if it is compromising on the safety aspect, then we have to call for it. It is on one side, it may create for short-term reputation risk for the organization, but in long term, that we care for maybe the customers. In such a way, it create a more value to us.
So Shivai, a good point. Just one, another question to that. What if it is not a safety issue? Let's say if it is with other features what you have promised, maybe something with the software, something with other.
Maybe if it's relating to the features like maybe the dashboard or maybe the how to say the touchpad kind of stuff.
Yeah, anything.
That probably they can push it through some software, like how we are getting it in OnePlus and something they can try for it. Otherwise, they don't need to call for all the vehicles. That can be fixed in the next services, whenever they go for a services.
Yeah, that's a good point. They can be fixed in the next services. So it will also reduce the reputation risk, because when we recall, it becomes a headline.
Exactly.
Even new customers, they are scared to buy now. They're like, okay, just wait for some time, let everything resolve, then only we can come in here.
So I have a contrary view on this.
Yeah.
See the point, Mispa, that we are making here. One of the value statement that we make is Cewmlator offers the highest quality in its products. We stand by ethics, we stand by sustainability, all that. If you try to do silently during the your maintenance cycles of the vehicle in the service, that is like you're avoiding the market and silently fixing the issue. You're not coming clean there. You're trying to hide and fix them silently. I do not know if that would be a right approach. We can as well go openly and say, okay, this is the problem, we're fixing it.
Right. It will be unethical in that way if you hide.
Yeah.
Yes, we cannot hide it, but we have to communicate it.
So if you see in the real world, companies will definitely hide, most of the companies.
Yeah.
But as far as exam is concerned, we need to be very clear. We cannot compromise on that. But at the same time, we need to give some practical answer so we can communicate that this has happened, and at the same time we can say it has nothing to do with the safety. So in the next service, we can do it. Or if you are okay, you can bring us to any service center and we can fix the issue. So we can pass on this opportunity to the customer. Find a middle way.
Yeah, if it is even the issue is very severe, impacting safety, it has to be come out and immediately fix it. If it is okay, it is like, suppose, for example, an issue with the ECU of the car, they have to fix it immediately because it may impact the safety. Or suppose your any maybe safety features of the car are not functional, that has to be addressed immediately. But if there is a battery draining, suppose over a period which reduces something, we have to fix it only in the service, maybe just a software upgrade in the service, or maybe a fix some of the batteries during the service, that is okay. We can just give a statement publicly saying, this has been there, it will be done free of cost for you. In the next service, you can get it done. It has to be made outrightly public and said.
Right. And that will also show that we stand by our values.
Yeah. I mean, as far as the exam is concerned, I think what I feel is CIMA is more interested in how we focus, vision, mission, and values, how we incorporate them in the our answers. I mean, if I believe that is right.
Yes. Yes, Divesh, you want to add something?
Now I have a question, like some sort of. Also, I want to add something, like as you were saying, for the recalling thing. I was thinking, in my point of view, is there we, for example, let's see, assume that we found some fault, but it is repairable, and we can fix it out at every dealership. First, first assumption is mine that, and another scenario is that it is not replaceable or like not repairable and it's need to be recall it. In two scenario, I was thinking that for scenario one, if we disclose it that this is the problem and you need to bring your car to the dealership and we will repair you out free of cost, and this, and if we take 1 or 2 days, we will provide them a renting car or something like that, I was thinking. And for another options, like it's not repairable and it's need to be recalled, it in also scenario we need to disclose it to the shareholder and publicly, because it's under health and safety, sorry. So I was thinking in that scenario also, while we will recalling the car, customer won't be happy. Someone also depending on totally on the car for commuting, or he is using each and every day. So in that scenario, I was thinking, would it be good to suggest something like that? The company will give them a brand new car or provide some other options which car they would like to have for short term period or on the exchange of the recall car. Is that correct way of writing if something come up in exam?
What was the last line? Can you repeat?
I was saying that the company will provide an option whether they will give them the similar type of car, or they can provide them other options like different model of the car for the swap of the recall car.
So you want to give them different car to use?
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe we can provide them for short term period or something like that, or
right. But it can be very difficult, that promise.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's why I thought, is it the correct way I'm thinking, or
It depends on the severity of the recall. If I may add, suppose one batch of production where the part supplied by the supplier is faulty, probably say 10,000 units, may be feasible. Suppose the whole 1 year production is maybe say 1 lakh cars, 100,000 units have been in a fault. You may not be able to give 100,000 cars to drive them for 2 days. It would be very tough. Maybe you will not be able to justify the cost. But yes, small batch, 1 day's batch, 2 days batch, or a one batch of production which may run into weeks would be, I think, feasible. So, Misbah, can we make this assumption, assuming that this one batch is faulty and we are giving a replacement car for 2 days, something like that?
So they will ask, how to manage this reputation. In that, you can mention some of these steps, maybe as an option.
Yes.
And you can recommend, and ultimately the board will consider. And when you're giving this one out as an option, you can also, let's say this can be in header, and then you can explain what are the advantage and disadvantage of this. For example, here the cost is a major issue.
No, but the major question is the assumptions. We are allowed to make assumption, and
We can make
should we make
assumptions
a
if you're closer to that. They'll give a very specific scenario in the exam. But if they ask how
Yeah.
to manage reputation risk, so it's like an open-ended question. Now you can mention so many points. There you can assume what you want. Just communicate it clearly.
does the assumption need to be limited by the numbers, units, quantity, or they can be sweeping and open?
Usually, if this happens, they'll give you the quantity and everything, I believe. But if it's not, you can, I think, Azim, that's not a problem.
Okay.
Because considering we are, one of the biggest in the world, so we have to be very big with everything. The numbers, the quantity, the investment, right? We're not a small player.
Yeah.
Whatever is happening in the industry, that quantity, I believe we can easily assume.
Okay.
Apart from that, I mean, if you go back to this question about dealing with customers, we have to be responsive, try to do prompt services. Assurance is the knowledge and courtesy of employees and their ability to inspire trust and confidence. Empathy, caring, individualized attention a firm gives its customer. Usually, it's very easy to promise. Companies come up with so much of values and they talk about we are empathy, we are very responsive, but everything is coming at a cost. And many times the employee themselves are not treated very well. So the employee doesn't pass on that empathy and responsiveness or assurance to the customer. How they can retain customers? Usually they won't ask specifically this, but we can just go through it. Personalization, mass communication. This is not related to our industry, it's generalized. We can look at consumer products, FMCG, like that. Opt-in email, online communities are there. Customization of social media content. Nowadays, this is rising too much. We have influencers. In fact, influencers are coming up with their own brands. If somebody has a very big amount of followers, what they are doing, they just try to understand what kind of followers, what age group, demography, everything uh, they do, and they just launch their own business now. And many of them are still doing good. Apart from that, use of technology can help electronic data interchange, cloud computing. We have seen what's cloud computing, e-commerce, intelligence gathering, communication, user communities. So use of tech makes it easier to manage the client. Internet and extranet obviously is the basic thing. Then in certain businesses, we need an intermediary. So what is intermediary? For example, if you go and book a flight, okay, if you just put it on the Google. So we usually don't do it through the website. Let's say we are using British Airways or Emirates, anything. We don't go to their website. So we have middle players or website, they compare everything. And then we see, okay, which one is the better price, and then we go. Imagine if you go directly to the website of the company and we see the price, but we are not sure that we are getting the best price, right? So in that industry, intermediation works. But in certain industry, let's say if it is on manufacturing FMCG, like what Reliance has done in India, they have removed the intermediate or intermediation. So they have that margin in house and they're passing it on to the customer. That way they are benefit. So in certain sector, intermediation will work. In certain sector, intermediation is removed. So that is beneficial for the business. It's like a middleman. Or sometimes what happens, companies are bringing their own intermediation. It's known as re-intermediation. Because they think like the current one is biased, it is sponsored, it is owned by the competitor. So it will show there at the top. They'll compare, but it will be biased. So we want to bring our own intermediation that is favoring us. For example, in the UK, confused.com was set up by Admiral, a group of companies that offer various types of insurance to help users pick between insurance providers for their car and home insurance policies. And when therefore it is a new intermediary into a supply chain as customers now went through the comparison site before purchasing a policy. So looking at that, other competition also came up with their mediation, counter mediation. The launch of confused.com was followed by creation of several rival comparison sites, including comparethemarket.com, which was said by the BGL, another UK insurance group. Then moving on the next topic, resources and value creation within organizational ecosystem. So technically, when we are coming up with any strategy, E3 is all about strategy, right? We have seen market led. Another way of coming up with strategy is looking at our own resource based strategy. It can be our core competency, threshold competency. So the first thing is we should know our own resources, what resources we have. Sometimes what happened, we were thinking something like an strength for us, but maybe the market has moved forward. Now it has become a weakness, or it is no longer a strength, or something we thought was a threat for us had turned out to be an opportunity, or we have an opportunity that was dressed like a threat. We didn't analyze properly. So resource audit can help. The resource audit identifies the resources that are available to an organization and seek to start the process of identifying competencies. For example, now in the previous chapter, why we found product development to be easier for us, because we are already there in multiple markets, and for product development it will be easier because as we are manufacturing our own batteries, producing our own batteries, right? So we can go into buses, can go into scooters, we can go into ferries also. Yesterday I was looking some companies, they are coming up with bigger batteries for the ferries. In fact, easy for these companies who run ferries to go electric. So they are happy to invest. In fact, some of the companies have already committed. I was looking in the European market, and some companies have already committed by 2030 all their ferries will be electric. This will help them for their ESG, their sustainability goals. So we can target this small business as well. So how this opportunity is coming? If we do our proper resource audit, it attempts to assess the relative strength of the resource base, the quantity of resources available, the nature of those resources, and the extent to which those resources are unique and difficult to implement. Look at the competencies. So what is the difference between core competency and threshold? Core competency is something which can outperform the competition. Core is like an order winner, we can say, and threshold competence is order qualifier. But what happens usually, if something is core, the market will try to copy it, and eventually the core competence will become a threshold competence. So we need to make sure that constantly we are coming up with the new core competencies. Because what was order winner, let's say, a few years back, will not be order winner today. The industry has moved on. Therefore, the innovation, the marketing, the packaging, customer relationship, everything, after sales service, as we saw, the trust, the values, that is all core competence. We can assess our balance as a resource, competencies, business units, identify key issues, SWOT, critical success factor. So in SWOT, that's the reason we are doing SWOT analysis. We need to know what strength and weakness we have. Obviously, we have less information in the pre-scene to come up with a very big amount of SWOT analysis, but at least we can have a basic start and some information we can take from the industry. So strength and weakness are internal, opportunities are and threat are external to the business. Other ways we can look at EMS model. Again, you don't need to remember any of this model. Okay, don't stress. This is for just for understanding. For example, EMS model talks about the major areas or major resources we have. For example, manpower, human resource, human asset of the firm. Like in our case, what is the human resource we need? We need a good research and development team. Obviously, we need other areas like finance is there, marketing is there, sales is there, after sales service is there. But if you look at the core competencies specifically, it will be the R&D team. Then finance, we need money part, the company's cash position, our cash flow, gearing, investment plan, short-term, long-term finance, relationship with the finance provider. That will be part of money. Next, M can be management, the experience of the employees. How long they are doing this business, how long they are in the industry. For example, us, we are doing for a long time. We have been into ICE engines also previously, and I believe that time itself we are selling globally, so we have good experience. So all these three things is in our favor. Then machinery, the physical asset of the business. what kind of automation we have, what kind of quality we are giving in, the market, the number of markets we are selling our products, materials, the relationship between the company and its suppliers. Many time it is, undermined, but it plays a very important role. Especially, we know in our industry, the supply is not very stable. So the stable supply, then the cost, then the quality of the supply, future availability of materials, or sometimes we have in-house too. So we can also say what amount of dependency we have on the supplier. Let's say for, in our case, mining, the lithium mining companies. Then what methods we are using, outsourcing, just in time, what technology we are using, management information, how we are getting information from. So in today's world, most of the companies are getting from big data. Apart from that, do we have any other source? In another hand, we can also talk about the makeup. What is the culture of the organization? What is the structure? Is it tall organization, a flat organization? Is it like, anybody can go and meet the CEO, or is just like we have to contact with a line manager? Then the line manager will go to the next. Is it a lot of hierarchy? So that will also set the culture. For example, how we are treating people, that sets a culture. Or is it like we are promoting risk taking, or we are motivating employees to be risk averse? All of this will affect the culture of the organization. Resources can also be alternatively grouped under 4 headings. If you don't want to do all of that, we can just do it. Another option is for physical or operational resources, human resources, financial resources, and intangibles. Again, technically, it doesn't matter how much group you do or you follow that model or not. It is just about knowing what we have. Therefore, sometimes there will be a question, we have acquired a business now. The next thing is we want our internal audit to be used to look at the resources there, or they'll give you a scenario. We are planning to use our internal audit team to do the resource audit for the target company. So why they are doing it? Because they want to have a clear idea. Because many times things theoretically and on the ground might be different. I hope it's very logical. Competencies we just discussed. Core competency is the order winners. Threshold is order qualifier. But over time, the core will become threshold because others will copy it. So we need to also do the competency audit. Audit involves analysis of what competence the organization has, as well as how well resources are being deployed to create them. Like in industry, we discussed BYD is expecting to have 100,000 people working only in R&D. They'll be employing more than 900,000 people, and out of that 100,000 plus is only in R&D. So you can imagine the amount of money they are ready to, or the resources they are ready to invest to come up with new core competencies. Company can only have 10 employees and say, we are doing R&D. That is also possible. Therefore, how much we are committing? Categorization of competencies as core or threshold. This also need to be clear. This will be done by looking at historic data, industry norms, and benchmarking exercises. Another thing is critical success factor. So CSF or critical success factor is something like we must go right. It's not like we can go right. Must go right means if we have a certain objective, we need to do this. These are the small CSF that need to be achieved. Then only we'll achieve our objective or the vision what we are targeting. If we don't do this, then definitely we are not reaching that. So we are breaking down it into CSF, and for the CSF, we'll again break it down into KPIs, key performance indicators. Key performance indicators, I think they have given the next pages. So everything is kind of KPIs are given as a target for individual employees. If employees achieve KPIs, then we are achieving CSF. And if we achieve CSF, we are achieving our objectives of the organization. And if we are achieving our objective, that means our mission is also, or we can say our vision is accomplished? So CSF and KPIs can be an important question. In the past, they have asked, they'll give you a scenario and ask what will be the CSF for this, or they'll give you a CSF and say what will be the KPI for that. We have an automobile industry example only here. Styling an efficient dealer network, vehicle performance, and fuel efficiency. So they have given a couple of CSF. First is style, second is dealer network, then vehicle performance, then fuel efficiency. In supermarket, what can be the CSF? Usually people go supermarket because they don't need to go different places, right? So what is CSF? The right product mix. But now looking at others doing it, so another thing can be price. Maybe other thing can be location, possible. For example, if a supermarket's objective is to grow its market share, it will need to ensure that understand what it must do in order to successfully implement the strategy. Does it make sense? CSF. What else can be CSF for us? Can you guys think of some example?
Providing a city, I mean, providing better customer service and value for money car, producing value for money car, maybe.
Value for money can be our CSF. Maybe that is more like a value.
Okay.
Maybe safety, safety was a concern, and still some people think like EV cars can be dangerous, it can catch fire easily. So safety can be one of the CSF. Then link between CSF and competencies. Critical success factor of CSF are what organization needs to be good at in order to compete in the market. And competencies means which we are already good at. And apart from that, value drivers, how we are driving value for our stakeholders. Like for the stores, it was product mix, convenience store location, knowledgeable, friendly staff. For us can be, financial support, after sales services, dealership network, then maybe friendly staff. Friendly staff, I think, is there in every business. So for that, Porter's value chain can also help. So technically, what Porter's value chain is doing is trying to break it down all the steps. Let's say there are 10 steps, and if you break it down, and every step we try to improve by 1%, technically we end up having 10% improvement. So that can give us a competitive edge. For example, inbound logistics. So everything that is coming in, operations, what we are adding value to it. This is primary activities. Outbound logistics, once this is done, we are sending it outside, then marketing and sales, then after sales services. So main thing what we are doing in operations, but at the same time, inbound logistic matters. The quality of the raw materials, how we are getting in, how we are storing. Then we have support activities, which is common across the business and industries. Like every business will have their form infrastructure, what they have, physical and everything, or IT, what they are using. Human resource management, what kind of people they are working, how qualified they are, how experienced they are. Technology development, what latest technology we are using. Then procurement, if we need anything, how we are procuring the raw materials and everything, or what kind of tech we are using in that. So these are the support activities, and they're primary. So if we have better support activities, primary can also improve. Usually just talk about the primary, but imagine if we just invest in technology as a whole. Don't you think that Cewmlator business model can grow, or value of a company can grow, right? So that is more like a support activity. So let's say we just improve the remuneration. We said like, we'll give 50% extra, or let's say 100% extra than the market salary for the same position, or we'll pay double than the industry standard. So what will happen? Definitely our human resource capabilities will go up. We'll get more talented people to work for us. But the downside will be it's very costly. Now we have to see if it is financially viable or not. Does it make sense?
Yes, I had a question like for CSF, like apart from safety, can we also consider like the battery range and the recharging infrastructure as part of the CSF?
Yes, so the battery life, I think definitely it should be CSF, because if you're saying 7 years, 8 years, the battery should actually work. So the life of battery, yes, it can be a CSF. Charging infrastructure, because that is uncontrollable. If you're talking about infrastructure and we are expecting the government to put in, I don't know if you can put exactly that. Maybe we can say convenient chargers or fast charging. Maybe that can be CSF.
Okay. Like timing we discussed in previous sessions, right? Like we can team up with Walmart or supermarkets, like to put the infrastructure. So I was thinking from that point of view, actually.
Overall, for the industry, yes, it is very important. But critical success factor, we want to do something which we can control,
Okay.
isn't it?
Yeah. Makes
What
sense,
we
yeah.
can do with the current infrastructure, we can have a better chargers where it is taking a less time, or better batteries which can charge faster. Like the BYD claim, if you remember, they said
Yeah.
that it can be recharged in few minutes.
Yeah.
That is a CSF. The same thing they have said for inbound logistics operation. Maybe you can have a read through this once. Help. Then moving on to the next is strategic options. So this is again extension of the same thing. Position audit. So once we do resource audit, we can also look at our position, what we have. So for this, SWOT can help. SWOT analysis is very basic, but it can give us good insight. The only thing is it should be done properly. What is strength? What we are doing well. Weaknesses, what we are not doing up to the industry mark, or maybe some failures. Opportunities, what is industry moving towards. Threat is something, there is a problem in the industry and we are not compliant with that. Ideally, we have to convert our weakness to strength and the threat to opportunity. This can also be done like where are we now and where we want to go. So SWOT analysis is a tool to assist in a position audit process. It is not only the tool, the competent analysis framework well in the context and can provide useful framework to analyze a company. Let's say we have done that. If you look from the risk perspective or the top priority perspective, you should be threat focusing on weakness. Imagine there is certain threat in the market and that is focusing on the weakness. For example, we have seen a trend that a lot of people are putting a litigation case against the company because they are over promising with the batteries or any other things happen. And maybe we also have that issue, so we need to fix that first. So that will become a top priority. This will usually have the top priority because this is about the maintenance. It's not about the growth. First we have to maintain, then only we can grow. It's more like a defensive response. Then after that, threat focusing on strength. This requires a review of a supposed strength to ensure that still is as strong as previously thought. Many times we thought it was a strength, but technically it is a weakness. So again, the same issue can come in. Threat focusing on weakness. So make sure what we thought as a strength is still a strength. Then opportunity focus on strength. This is for the growth. This is where we want to put our investment, our finances. Then opportunity focusing on weakness. This will require management to make a decision as to whether to change and pursue the opportunity, or alternatively ignore the prospect. So if we have an opportunity in the market, but we don't have that resources, or it's a weak part of us, so try to see if we can convert our weakness to strength to utilize this, or we can just ignore and move on to other ways. Apart from that, we can work on value drivers. So what is value drivers? So technically, what is our core business? Apart from that, is there anything that can be used to create additional value for the consumer in respect of the product or service? They have given some options here, but I like to know from you guys, what do you think we can do extra? Okay, what are the additional value drivers can we create for our customers or in the supply chain, which can give us a competitive edge? Or competitive edge is not only about getting a better market share, better profit. Maybe we can have loyal customers, we can have goodwill. What else can be done?
Maybe Misbah, a few innovation probably we can do it. Especially, are you expecting only from supply chain aspect?
No, I mean customer. You can think about the end customer. That will be easier to think. I mean,
Yeah, maybe there's some few innovations probably can be done in Cewmlator. So on the solid state battery kind of stuff, and AI driven and predictive analysis, driving mode. So these other things probably we can do it, which should be really helpful for the clients.
what was the last one? Training.
AI based predictive analytics driving mode, kind of like now the self driving is going on, right?
Right.
Yeah. And moreover, there's a predictive analysis, something like so which parts of the car is gonna or maybe really require a maintenance at this point in time and when. Something like that it can provide.
Okay. Think like a customer, I believe. If you think like a customer, will get more points. Let's say you buy an EV car, so you're planning to buy a car. What you will expect from the company?
Maybe additional warranty,
Warranty, okay.
better maintenance, low maintenance kind of
Or maintenance support.
maintenance support.
Others. Just okay. If you are finding it difficult for our business model, just try to think in general. What are the other ways companies can create value, or what you expect as a consumer or as a customer of any service? Any example?
Correct me if my understanding is wrong.
Yeah.
Battery recycling method will it work? Because, for example, after 8 years, if you are forced to change the battery, you're going to retain the car. Okay. So that time they can consider some percentage of it, right? Because we are providing the old battery. How it's happening currently?
So you are saying after 8 years we need to recycle it.
Correct. So after 8 years, probably if you're changing your battery, so they can consider some rebate based on collecting the old batteries. That's something they can recycle it, or maybe rejuvenate it in such a way that they can use it for some factory car, something like that.
So that will increase the life of the car. Technically,
Right.
you need to make a situation where the battery replacement is possible. So resale value can be there. Okay. So we can put into simple words, resale values or improving the life of the cars. Yeah, possible.
Right. Yeah.
Simple points, there are so many things. Like here also they have mentioned how companies are doing that. Distribution facilities that are strategically placed to enable rapid and efficient delivery for customers. For example, supermarkets warehouse close to major road systems such as motorways, so that delivery of fresh goods into stores can occur more quickly. Then better quality, cheaper price than the rivals, friendly staff, easy to use website, coupons. There's so many things.
Maybe Misbah,
Yeah.
there's one point, help me if you have any fair idea on this. So recently I read somewhere BMW and could they have partnered on a particular project in such a way that that we can, which means the electric car go to the station and maybe the charging station, they can have wireless charging, something like that. So currently, if you're going to station, maybe we may have a 3 to 4 port. So maybe 3 to 4 cars only can charge it together. Right? But when it comes to the wireless, I think 40 to 50 cars can do it together. Something, the pilot project is, maybe the project is done or going on.
Right. That's a good point. So think about this also. Then apart from that, example of intangible value drivers can also be there. Intellectual property, brand. People want to get associated with the brand or communities. Relationship with the customer, with the supplier, employees, reputation. Another aspect is gap analysis also we can do. So gap analysis is technically a proactive way to manage the problem. For example, we are here and our target was this T for our earnings, let's say in revenue. But once we start, we are just reaching this, for example, this F0. So what companies do, they don't wait till here. Maybe, for example, we realize this point here itself, we start and we realize we are not reaching this. So we'll improve our efficiency, or if that is leading us to F1, then we can do expansion gap, or we can diversify the revenue, we can go into new product or market. And ultimately, we try to achieve this target. What happens if we do this analysis? We are not waiting to see that, okay, we have failed in our targets, but actually we work proactive. And to do this, we might have to change the strategy. We have to take a lot of risk. But again, there is no guarantee after doing all this itself that we'll reach to the target. But definitely, it helps rather than just waiting. It has to be proactive rather than being reactive. So there are so many things companies do. For example, efficiency they can do. They'll try to expand the market to improve the sales. They'll take more risky approach by coming up with a new product, or sometimes going undiversified, or maybe unrelated industry also. But ultimately, it's with uncertainty in the environment. What is the benefit if you do gap analysis? The approach acts as a simple starting point to initiate further debate and considerations. It's easy to understand, such acts effective communication, highlight the need of long-term horizon. Apart from that, what we can use is forecasting. A key part of gap analysis is forecasting. Forecasting is a prediction of future events and their quantification for planning purpose. How we can do, or we can predict future events, technically is based on the past data or the data what we have currently. We'll try to predict anything with the future. Remember, it will never be 100% true, but it's good because it is giving us an starting point. So we have certain models in that, like regression analysis there. It looks how a particular variable correlates or varies with another variable. For example, let's say people earning goes up, like per capita GDP goes up. So what will happen? So definitely the demand for electric vehicles will come up, because when people have extra money, they'll try to take risk. They want to try new things. So electric vehicle sales will go up. But on the other way around, if the per capita GDP goes down or it remains static, so they want to go for traditional ICE engine, because they'll think, okay, I can resell also, or maybe they'll buy a used car, isn't it? So that is how things are interconnected. Therefore, we'll see more sales in developed country compared to underdeveloped countries, because the per capita GDP or the earnings are different. Another example here they have given: an airline may wish to investigate the link between passenger numbers and average ticket price. Because many times it might be an assumption that, okay, if the ticket price goes down, the number of passenger will go up, but that might not be true, or it might be true only in certain routes. In other route, it may be more about the timings. If it's a especially domestic flight, the timing matters. What other things can be done is time series analysis. It involves the identification of short and long-term trends in previous data and the application of those patterns for projections. In other words, it looks at how a particular factory varies over time. Like a jewelry firm, obviously they look at the price of gold. Currently there is a festival going on and the gold price has gone up because the demand has gone up. Same thing with the lithium mining and battery manufacturing. Imagine if mining becomes difficult, or because of weather or the government regulation, it's becoming expensive. So what will happen? The price of battery will go up. If the price of battery goes up, the price of car should also go up. And if the price of car goes up, the sales can come down. I hope it makes sense. Another thing is foresight. This is interesting of all. So what does this foresight say? It goes beyond simple forecasting and tries to identify possible ways that the future of organization could develop. So here they are not just sitting and looking at the other things to change. We'll be the leader. We'll be the one making change. For example, if we see what will be the new technology in our mobile phones. So Apple and Samsung is not waiting to see what will happen and how they will respond to it. They are creating the future of that industry, isn't it? Because they are the industry leader. So one opportunity or one thing what we can do at Cewmlator, because being one of the top 3, is we can create the future of our company, and ultimately it will be the future of the industry. So foresight means not only predicting the future, but developing an understanding of all the potential changes, which if managed properly could produce many new opportunities. So we are creating the future where we have opportunities. So this is another thing we can do. But usually it's very risk-taking approach. By carrying out techniques to develop foresight, management try to shape the future rather than wait for it.
Misbah, out of this topic, I'm having a doubt. Like when you are talking about the supply of lithium, all that, so it will be available as a commodity in the market, like how we buy silver and gold.
Yeah.
Can
Continue the question first.
like crude oil, all that in the market, we can have some stock and buy and keep it in the market, so that even lithium prices, some vendors are increasing the price, so that we can have hedging from our own stock value, what we are having, like that.
Excuse me. Yeah, so it depends. So the answer can be yes and no as well, because I know a little bit about it, because we have a pre-scene previously where we are doing a mining. It was Rotomine. You can always refer to that. So in that, what we found out, this companies, when they mine the lithium, firstly, lithium is a very small part of mining. They have, I think it's less than 10%, around 6-7% of the total mining. So rest all goes as a secondary product. So if they do a lot of mining, and if they think like the demand is not so much in the market, then the value of the lithium will go down. So they will also mine according to the demand in the market to get a supply. But the another thing is the regulatory risk, because they are part of a very big pollution, and the local societies and all didn't like mining happening, because there are so many examples. I think it happened in one state in Andhra, also some area, right? And so many other countries. It's having Zimbabwe and Chile and other places where mining happened. The local society is totally, they have to relocate. It was not livable. So government is also coming up with new regulation, new taxation. Then this geopolitical issues happened. So because of so many reasons, the supply can get affected. If the supply gets affected, the cost will go up.
Yeah. No, my question is like, will that be available in commodity market to keep a stock of it?
Exactly, I don't know. We need to find out, but I believe it's directly with the companies, and how the mining companies are doing. They're also doing special projects. With every business, they have their commitment, how
Yeah.
much they can supply, and based on that, they are investing. Because usually they follow the cheaper options to do the mining, and it can take up to 5 to 6 months to keep it ready from the mining process to the delivery. So they have to plan ahead, and they will do it according to the demand. Because if they have done it and there is no buyer for it, they have the cost of retaining it also.
Yeah, got it. And this our this company now, our batteries manufacturing is from Eastland.
Right.
So is there any reason like only from Eastland the batteries are, is it near to that lithium suppliers, or how it will be?
Yeah, that's a good point. So we are producing, okay, it's in Eastland, but it is in our control. It's not outsourced, first thing. Secondly, why it is in Eastland? Maybe number of reasons. Maybe we have better human resources, or maybe the mining is there, or sometimes what happened, the mining is happening in underdeveloped countries where the rules and regulations are not strict, so it's easy for the companies to manipulate it. Then the logistic of lithium is very difficult. So maybe the mining is happening there, the logistics will be easier if you manufacture batteries there. That may be another reason. Then we might have human resource, we have infrastructure, or like we saw now, Porter's diamond. So we might have some factor condition like better infrastructure.
Yeah.
Other support, other supporting industries. That may be also the reason.
Yeah, got it.
For example, now most of the clothing company, if you see globally, they are buying from Bangladesh. Why they are doing? Because Bangladesh has an advantage. Porter's diamond will fit exactly in the Bangladesh because government is supportive. They have rivalry. They have infrastructure. And one advantage they have is the rules and regulations are not that strict. Government is lenient. And why they are lenient? Because they are, I believe, they are the first or the second biggest contributor to their GDP. Maybe first. They have so much of problems, like they are using a lot of water, and water scarcity is being created, and a lot of other problems is happening, but still all of that is being ignored. So that part will come to pest analysis, because the economic situation is like this. They are ready to compromise on the other things. It has become one of the biggest employer in the country. So even if we have a company, big brand like H&M is there, Zara is there, a lot of other companies, they are doing in Bangladesh because they have an advantage. Maybe it's their own factory there, but being into that country helps. So I believe something like that is for us in Eastland. I mean, it's a guess. They have not given a lot of information, but this is how it should work.
Yeah, got it. Thank you, Mr.
No problem. So foresight is not depend on what will happen. It will shape our own future. What are the advantages of foresight? Better communication, concentration long term, coordination within the team, consensus with the research priorities, what we want to do, commitment with the team. At the same time, it's all about taking more risk. How to improve organization's foresight? We can do scenario planning. Scenario planning is like what if analysis, we'll see it. Visioning, what visions we have, issue analysis, relevance trees, opportunity mapping. So these are certain models which can be used that can help us. Technically, these models are logical. It is starting from certain data what we have now, information we're trying to connect the dots. So it's not like we are starting from nothing. We have some base, and on that assumption we are coming up with the new scenarios. Scenario planning is an important part of that. It has been part of the exam, so you can prioritize this topic. They might ask you what is the advantage, disadvantage of scenario planning, or they'll give us scenario itself and say that what do you think about this scenario planning, or they'll give you 2-3 scenarios and you have to talk about that. So scenario planning is making assumptions on what the future is going to be and how your business environment will change over time in light of the future. Scenario planning is identifying specific set of uncertainties, different realities of what might happen in the future for business. Or it's technically is what if analysis. Why it is called what if analysis? So we are considering like 2-3 major scenarios. For example, assume now Dakshin government is giving us a lot of subsidies. They have not mentioned, but just assume that. Or they are very favorable with our industry in terms of regulation. If tomorrow that favorism is gone, so that is creating one scenario. So what will happen? Another thing is Eastland has any geopolitical issue, so we cannot manufacture batteries or produce batteries there anymore. What if that happens? Then third thing is the cost of batteries because of lithium mining or other supply chain issues just goes up. So if the cost goes up, again it will affect the demand. The sales will reduce, or at least it will stay stable. It won't go up. So what if analysis? We'll consider major areas, and based on that, we'll see if this happens, what can be done. That happened, what can be done. The third scenario, what can be done. And obviously, there can be hundreds of scenarios like that, but we'll try to limit to the minimum 2 to 3. Once you identified your driving force and made it a list, pick up only 2. Usually we do it limited. Why? Because we need to consider that serious. For example, 2 of the most important uncertainties. So scenario planning can be used as a part of risk as well, to manage risk, and it can also be used to develop a strategy. To begin, you should discuss what are going to big shift. So for this big shift, we do the pestle analysis. So if you look at the pestle, it gives you a hint. For example, if the economic situation of the country is changing, then definitely it will affect other areas also. If the tech is changing, for example, nowadays we have so much of application available. Like let's say if we talk about the Indian market specifically, we have a lot of applications available now online. And imagine it was before 10 years. For example, like Jio kind of disrupted. They started giving free internet, and after that, other companies also reduced the price, and now internet is very cheap. But imagine if it was as expensive as 10 years before. A lot of these companies will not be surviving. These startup models will never be successful. Food delivery and a lot of other things that is depend on the application, or they are mostly online. So tech penetration, then policies by the government, economic, the society in general. Based on that, we'll take the topics. Then once we have selected the top 2, develop a range of plausible scenarios. So what is different between possible and plausible? Possible is something that can happen, but plausible is like more practical. The goal is now to form a kind of matrix with your 2 critical uncertainties as axis. Depending on what direction each of the uncertainties will take you, you are now able to draw 4 possible scenarios for the future. Then discuss the implications. What will happen and how we'll respond to that. If you want to look at the real world example, we can go to Shell website. Shell, that US companies, they are advocating it, and it helped them in the past as well for the scenario plan. But where there are other companies who think like, most of the time these scenarios will never occur, and we have to invest a lot of resources. So it's very expensive to do. So they don't want to focus too much on scenario plan. Another thing is, next topic is game theory. Game theory is technically to understand the competition, what the competitors are doing. Game theory has 2 principles. Strategists can take a rational, informed view of the competitors are likely to do and formulate a suitable response. So we need to know if we do this, what will the response of the company. Let's say we reduce our prices, the competitor will also reduce the price. So we are not gaining anything. Only the customer will win. Both of us will lose. So if we have a good idea about the competitor, what they will respond, it will be easy for us to select a strategy. If a strategy exists that allows a competitor to dominate us, then the priority is to eliminate that strategy. It is also known as prisoner's dilemma. They give an example of two people, they have committed crime, now they are put in a separate cell. So if they both testify, both will lose. If one testify, one will lose, other will not. But if both remain silent, both can get benefit out of it. So in our case, both remain silent means both we didn't reduce the price and our competitor also didn't reduce the price. Or in fact, nowadays, if the company or if the industry has just few competitors, both will increase the price simultaneously. So the customer doesn't have any other option. So both will win. Usually when we select strategy, we have three options. First is option to follow on, to choose the project. Second is option to abandon, to not to do it. This is part of a recommendation. For example, if they ask you evaluate the project, the SAF model they have to use, suitability, acceptability, feasibility. So many students don't do recommendation. It's good if you do the recommendation. What should be the recommendation? Whether to follow on, like go for it, or to abandon, not go for it. Then we might have third option is option to delay. You can say, this information is too less to decide. It's better to do further analysis before we decide to go for it or not. Like they have given an example of house building company. They understood the economic situation is not good. Even if they construct now, they have to sell for cheap and they have less demand. So they can just delay the project. When the economic situation improves, then they can get a better rate. Then we have strategic options and choice. This we have discussed a little bit in P3, the same thing. Where to compete, how to compete, which investment vehicle to use. If you're going into the, let's say you want to grow our business, so whether to go into the new market or new product. Most of the topic we are discussing is very much same. It's like repetitive. Where to compete, how to compete. Let's say if you're going to the new market, you want to acquire a business or you want to go organically, or neither of that. You want to say, okay, let's go in strategic partnership first, go in joint venture first, then see how things move on. Then if that is done, which investment vehicle to use? Debt, finance, or take a bank locally from the target country where we are going. Then how our product should be, whether it should be cost leader or differentiator, or it should be a cost focus or differentiate focus. E3 is, a lot of theory only. What benefits, differentiation. We have discussed this already, cost leader and all. So discussing PC. So I think we can just keep it for now. If you have anything, you can stop me. Okay. Then integration we have discussed. Backward integration, forward integration. So this is about the supply chain again. Backward, if you are doing, we are trying to do with the mining in our cases. Upstream supply chain. And if you are doing forward, that is downstream supply chain, like dealership and others. How it can benefit? Combined operations, economies of internal control. So BYD is the best example. They are charging almost, I think, $7,000-8,000 less to their competitors in the European market. Why? Because they have almost everything in-house. That's the best benefit of integration. They have a lot of economies of combined operation, economies of internal control, economies of avoiding the market. So economies of scale is giving them the financial advantage.
One question I have. I'm sorry to stop you. Actually, if at all we have the vendor suppliers separately, other than owning everyone upstream, if any, in case of any failure or risk, we can share the risk across them with the warranty, all that things. No? If it is our own company, then again the same thing. Like we will only incur all the cost of failure and reputation matters. Everything is there, right? Like that.
Yes, that's a good point. So having everything in house, whatever we do will come with its advantage and disadvantage. So as you rightly said, if you do everything in house, the disadvantage is if anything goes down, everything is our risk, financially, reputationally, right?
Yeah.
And especially when we go into the international market, if you do everything in house, so the government will also think, this company is getting overpowered, or we are not generating
Monopoly.
monopoly and lot of jobs external. So we have the downside of that. And other downside can be, we cannot be the best in everything we do. So there are certain companies, they just want to focus on the core competencies. That should be in-house. Rest all, give it to the others, which is core competency for them. And many times if we outsource, we can save cost also. We can reduce the risk also. We don't have to manage so many employees, right? In fact, that is a strategic level question. Sometimes they might ask whether to do it in-house or outsource.
So based on the industry and worldwide examples, we can give answers for that, like which is better, fruits and plus advantages, disadvantages both, and then some conclusion for the factory.
Yes. Because whatever we choose will have its upside and downside.
Yeah. And it's a very silly question, Ms. Boy, like in car manufacturing or be it in the mobile manufacturing or the electric, these two are the biggest evolution in the our development, right? Human development. These two industries are like I understand most of the parts and internal parts will be same for all the models, and it's only outside design and other things which vary, and parts will be same. Is that true, Ms. Go?
For the cars, you are saying?
Yeah, for the cars.
Yes.
Maybe one or two like engine capacity. That other than that, like power steering and some other small window power switches. Many of the other internal parts, other than the capacity thing. So it will be same for all the models, is it? So that they'll
should be same, but maybe there will be slight changes with the batteries if you're talking about battery life, or if you're talking about speed, how fast it goes. Like we have different models. We have one sport model that goes very fast. So it might have some basic changes, but overall the base should be same, yes.
Okay. Across all the companies, or it will be only company, say for example, if it's a Hyundai company now in the old, and Hyundai and Maruti parts will not match, right? They'll have their own design and the vendors will be different for them. And it will not match with those people will not make Maruti Suzuki company parts, those vendors.
So technically, if you see how it is manufactured, if you go to the engineering part, it should be almost the same, isn't it? And why the part doesn't match? Because obviously that's their business model. They want to create that, isn't it?
Okay.
And that's the reason what these companies, they file so much of patents. They might have, thousands and thousands of patents, and they keep on filing all these companies, especially now EV companies also filing so much of patents.
Yeah.
Why? Because
now the revolution on the sensors, right? sensors, automatic cars like without drivers and all. So that is based on sensors only, right?
Yes. Usually these driverless cars, mostly they are electric only.
Hmm. And the technology they use is all sensors and AI in that
Yes. They are sensor based. Yes.
robotic type. Yeah.
So we can come up with our self-driving vehicle also. Maybe the demand for that publicly is still, yet to go up. But if you do that, it might help in marketing. We were just discussing about marketing sometime before, because things like that go viral on social media, and people want to talk about, okay, what new technology is coming, what is happening. We have a separate section in news, tech news. So if we have our name coming up there, if we have new patents, and if we highlight what good we are doing, that can also improve our brand value reputation, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe I feel like in near future because of the traffic, all that things, some drone type cars and all will come in, like where they'll be flying only.
Sorry, like drones, you are saying? Drone
Yeah,
taxi?
drone cars, drone. Yeah, yes. In near future, maybe
Yeah.
after 10 years, we may see only that is the development. Cars and all, many people will forget. I feel so like the technology is changing so fast in the industry right now. Yeah.
Possible. There is already pilot project going on, but to
Yeah.
come up with that at a large scale is difficult because most of the countries don't have infrastructure. The main thing with any new change, what you're saying, it will be like a massive change, and the biggest challenge for anything like this is health and safety, the safety of the user.
Mm. In Bangalore, Ms. Ba, I just want to give one small real scenario, real story scenario. Like because of the traffic, huge traffic, they even started the chartered helicopters for a shorter distance from outside of the international airport to the other side, electronic city side, and many of the apartments are coming up with helipads. Because of this reason, they wanted to avoid the traffic. So they are looking on the helicopters and chartered flights like that.
Right, right. No, that's so this how all this pestle will come in. Yesterday also I was doing research. I was comparing US market and European market for the cars. So US looks a better promising market because the European infrastructure, if you see, it is more convenient for walking, and you have good connectivity. If you see France, for example, and Germany and all of these countries, even in uh, UK, most of the place is easy to get public transport. But whereas if you compare in the US, the car is like a basic necessity in most of the country. Like if you live New York and some cities, almost 90-95% of the market, you need car as a primary. But if you see in the European market, we have a good public transport. And
I want-
technically, yes, sir.
Sorry, I was going to say, you say this, but recently the government, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, he's been closing off a lot of the roads and making it bus only because he wants people to cycle everywhere now. He wants to reduce the amount of vehicles on the road. So that's why they increased the road tax and stuff like this, and they blocked off a lot of roads and made it only for bikes and buses. So they're trying to, in certain areas within London, they're trying to make it just footfall, like the big street in Oxford Street, the biggest one where all the shopping happens. They made that majority of it bus only now. So that could maybe be a challenge for our car company as well.
Right, that's a good example. So if we see logically, it's more beneficial for the government and society in general also if we have public transport, because it can be cheaper. We don't have to pay a very high insurance cost. Then safety is also better. So that can be the challenge. For a company, it's a challenge. For the society is, or for the government, they have more incentive with the public transport. So we need to be very careful when we are selecting the market. Like in US, it might take decades, and it's so spread. The area is also so big. Coming up, even with the trains, they don't have proper train that connects from one part of the country to another. So usually people have to fly. So demand for cars here will keep on growing. Integration, cost of integration. You know, technically, I was expecting you guys will watch the recording and read it so we can have some discussion. Today, it was more of a one-way communication. You know, I was just going through. I hope you didn't find it too boring today. Okay. So please go through it before the next session. We can quickly have some more discussion on E3 in the start of the next session, but just maybe 30 minutes or 40, not more than that. If you have any doubts particularly, then we can do maybe answer structuring, and we'll take a mock on the next weekend. Maybe Saturday we can do structuring, and Sunday you can try one mock.
I have one question.
Yeah, Shiva, please.
There was a industry analysis and there are other one you were sharing it, right?
Yeah.
Did you share the PDF or probably
PDF I already shared, Shiva. You should have the access.
Sure.
I'll share it again otherwise, no problem.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, guys, then this is for today. So just to give you a recall, I'm expecting all of you to finish your analysis 100% by the next session. That is on 1st of November. Okay. That stakeholder, pestle, SWOT, everything you can do it. You have to do it. If there is anything you can take reference to the Leother analysis I have shared, or even if it is confused, you can just connect to me personally. You can message or call me directly. But that should be done. Otherwise, if we don't have a base, we cannot do the questions. At the same time, go through the E3. We have all this, in the recording as well. In 20-30 minutes, we have finished one chapter. Or you can just read on your own. Any doubts? Doubts also you can ask on the group. You don't need to wait till the next session. Because we have less than 1 month, I am expecting you to give more time. Or maybe what I will do is, during this week, I'll reach out to you guys individually also. So you can just share me what is your study plan. Okay.